Welcome to the Rasslecast Power Hour. I am 1/3 of your World Podcast Tag Team Champion, sometimes 1/5, B Hyphen, aka I just ate some bacon gravy and it was amazing. But before I say anything else, before we introduce our brand new guest to the show, before we tell you anything else, it's in the contract. I got to pass it to my man, your man, my Rashad's main man, Handsome Bane. How are you today, sir?
I'm good, brother. Everybody's Ahmad Rashad's main man. You can't put any stock in that. It's like, it's just like he gives you an autograph and he's like, to my best friend. And you're like, bro, he said we're best friends. Like he says that to everybody. he thinks you have coke. But I haven't heard any allegations. I'm just joking. I don't know. I don't want to sully the good name of Ahmad Rashad. But I don't know. The whole Felicia Rashad thing, it makes you a legend. So, what are we going to do?
Amen.
Our guy, Mark Robb, isn't here yet.
Not here yet. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we're expecting maybe he'll do a run-in at some point. But, in the name of everything, AKA, Mark Robb is also scheduled to be here. Hyphen,
Yes.
You brought us a guest.
I did.
Brung one in.
I found one. I hooked them. So I've known this guy my whole life because we're family. And I don't know, 10, 15 years ago, as I'm in my 20s and he's in his 20s, I find out that he is a professional wrestler. That's right. And I was like, I have a family member who wrestles, and so
can you afford to pay me to wrestle around?
It's back.
It is.
It's back,
The
dog.
soundboard is working. My cousin Jonny Elliott is here, man. Johnny, how are you?
How's everybody
today,
doing? I'm good, man. I'm good. Thanks for having me, man. I'm doing well.
You've been on the list since the beginning. We just had to get our stuff ready. So, I'm glad that you're here at the show. Obviously, I already spoiled it that you're a professional wrestler, but whenever we have a new guest to the Rasslecast, it's all about them. Just for that one episode, and then we just step all over you. So next time we're gonna have a lot more fun. I promise.
Then we put you to work after that, brother.
Yeah, we do.
Oh, man.
Use
Look
your
forward
brain
to it.
facilities. So, just like we ask all of our new guests, how did you get into wrestling initially, Johnny, as a fan?
Oh, man, as a fan,
yeah.
as a fan, as a kid, man, we all grew up. I think, my dad was a wrestling fan when I was a young child. So, he put on WrestleMania. I grew up around it.
Mhm.
Other cousins, I was out there wrestling. I think even over there in Winchester, Virginia, and Jackson Avenue. I tried to wrestle with some of y'all when I got a chance in the grass. Or
Yeah.
I just fell in love with it, man. And I followed it pretty well. We all thought it was what it was, and I think initially that's how I became a fan. I just never dropped it as most parents would have hoped. Like they would have, it's a phase, I'll get
Right.
over it. Nah, it never happened. So
So you've stayed faithful. Like you were never one of the people that went away from it for a little while. Like because
I was always a fan. I can't say I can sit here and tell you I always knew I was going to be a wrestler. I
Yeah.
knew that I liked it. I wrestled in high school. I did pretty well in high school as an actual wrestler, but like to sit here today and say, like the whole time I was growing up, I knew I was going to be in a wrestling ring. I couldn't tell you that.
Right.
So you were also a grass wrestler, right?
Oh yeah, man. Like
Yeah.
between,
How deep into that did y'all get?
I know for sure he definitely knocked the wind out of me once, hit me with something, and
I tried.
hopped up and ran right to my mom like, "Yo, Johnny!" I was crying.
I tried wrestling moves on all my cousins, man. My little sister.
No, he was an animal. I was the same way.
Yeah, my little sister, man. I'd put her to figure. Probably knew what I was doing. Figure four, sharpshooter. She felt every wrestling move growing up. So I was just that kid. I'm the kid that they targeted. Please don't try this at home. That was me.
Mhm.
Yeah. Yeah, and I was always the one who was like, I don't think I really want to try that.
Yeah,
until
he
my
was
nephew was
smart.
born, and then I tried on my nephew.
Did you do the belts? Did you like make the belts and stuff?
No, I didn't go that far,
Okay.
man. I was.
That's what I was trying to
just
gauge. I was making belts out there, with aluminum foil.
Yeah, I didn't go that far. Like we didn't have leagues, we didn't have backyard. I didn't get that far, but
Got it.
I have friends that are actually there that are living that. they have some stuff where they had like backyard leagues and they did all that
Mhm.
stuff. I was an Army brat, so I was never in like one place for too long, so I didn't have a group of friends that like I could beat up on all the time. It was always, I think the closest I ever got to that was like my junior year of high school,
Mhm.
and I found this group of guys that liked wrestling, and we would literally just wrestle each other in class before the teacher showed up in front of all the kids, and like get over because the kids were like, "Oh, I can't believe they're doing that." And they start cheering. It was weird. That's probably as close as I can get to that, but no backyard leagues. No.
Yeah. Yeah, I never had the desire to hop in the backyard. I watched them on YouTube in like the early 2000s when YouTube really like probably like
those
2009.
guys are idiots and weirdos.
Yes.
We're talking.
They're serious, man.
Shout out to my band, the
just
pen
like-
name though. The pen name, I know you're
But you
still
know
out there.
what's crazy though? A lot of the people that are making like a lot of your top stars start off in the backyard wrestling league. I probably named 3 off right now that you can go find a backyard wrestling tape of them.
Sure.
Absolutely. it was in their blood, man.
Yeah.
So
Blood, I gotta spill all over the place in a hardcore match. It's like, bro, you ain't got insurance.
I didn't know
You don't have
John Moxley
insurance,
was
please.
here.
Parents got to pay for that when you go home.
Right. Yeah, 100%. Oh man. So you grew up a fan and you kind of always kept one eye on at least WWF, WWE. So you were always kind of knew what was going on, right?
Yeah, I mean, I grew up. Me and you were the same age, so I grew up around that time frame where NWO, DX. It was big. That was the last time wrestling was like really mainstream to where it was cool to be a wrestling fan. So like, yeah, high school was all about Monday Night Raw. Who was in the NWO, watching DX. So it was pretty popular back then. So it was easy to stay up on top of it then.
Right.
You weren't hiding it.
Yeah, a lot of people, like myself, like when I got to college is kind of when I stopped watching for a little bit, but then I came back about 6 years later. A lot of people will drop off and stuff is what I
discovered girls too.
Yeah, that's what it was.
I discovered
That's
not
what it
having
was.
to go home too, and it was like I was definitely on WWE.com that first week of school.
Mhm.
That second week of freshman year of college, nah, bruh,
Wasn't the same.
was not.
So, how did you actually? I know you said you always wanted to be a professional wrestler, and you said it as a kid. But then, what was the catalyst? How did you actually get into the business?
So I actually love telling this story. So
good.
what actually pushed me through the door. So when I got out of high school, there was that whole conversation with my parents, where they're like, they didn't really feel like I was serious about school. So they weren't ready to invest in that quite yet.
Right.
And so we got into that whole issue where it was like, well, both my parents were in the Army.
Yes.
And they never wanted me to be in the Army. But I was like, that senior year of school was real rebellious. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to show y'all I can do what y'all can do. So I joined the Army like a dummy. I went and joined the Army. So then, I went through basic training, all that stuff. And before, when I was in high school, like I was on the wrestling team at my high school and I was pretty good. And so I had some friends that were on that team. So I had joined the National Guard at first. I didn't pull the full trigger. But when I came back from basic training, and everything, one of those guys on the wrestling team went and lost a bunch of weight. He found a local wrestling school. He joined and was trying to be a pro wrestler. So me, in my mind, I was pretty athletic at the time. Like, well, if he could do that, I could do that. So I was like, I'm gonna go sign up. So I went to go sign up, and literally, actually, I didn't sign up at first. What happened was, when I came back home, it was he was going to a show in DC. They were renting a wrestling ring to a guy who was trying to do like a fight league, and this is before UFC was a thing.
Mm-hmm.
So the actual guy, I forget his name, but it was, you guys remember the movie Mortal Kombat, right?
Yeah.
Of course.
So the black guy that fought Liu Kang on the beach,
Yes.
like a world kickboxer, he was running this event where he had like these HBO execs there, and he's gonna have like this tournament fighting, and they were renting the wrestling ring to do it. So I went with them that night, basically just to do something in the middle of DC to help set up the ring. And that night I met, I went with my friend John was the friend, but I met Sanjay Dutt that night. I met a couple other people that night, and we were all just there. We went and helped set up the ring, and then Sanjay Dutt, this other wrestler called Dirty Money, wrestled like halftime. That was like their big hook, like we get to wrestle halftime if we go here. But I was pretty athletic at the time because I just got out of basic training, and one of the fighters didn't make clear his physical. So this guy, the guy from Mortal Kombat, we talked to me. He goes, "Hey man, you look pretty athletic. You ever fought before?" And I'm like, not really. He's like, well, hey man, if I give you $100, one of my fighters isn't clear. You want to fight to me at night? I give you $100 whether you want to lose. I was like, sure, why not? so so they take me downstairs, and there's all these guys. It's like a dingy basement in DC on a Saturday night, and they're all putting on their kickboxing gear.
Stinky as hell.
Yeah, the doctor comes over, blood pressure, all that stuff. You're good. So I go up there, and I have my wrestling friends, and these guys, they get into like their wrestling gear. So I have a real cornerman. I have these guys in wrestling gear that are in my corner, and I get in the first match. I'm wearing like my Army PT shirts, sweatpants, and I go in there. And they got this like 300-pound, like you could tell this dude was juiced up. This big juiced up dude.
Right.
And bell rings, and I just go out there and I one to him, and then hit him with a hook, and he goes down. And I was surprised. I'm like, oh, I just knocked this dude out. And like the guys in my corner were surprised. Everybody was surprised. And then like the night went however it was. I think I went to like the finals and fought the guy that eventually won. But he was like this real good kickboxer. I had no chance. But he didn't knock me out. But afterwards, the guy that they rented the ring from, he comes to me and goes, hey, I hear you want to be a wrestler. I'm gonna keep that $100 that guy was gonna give you and show up to wrestling training on Sunday. And that was literally how I started training.
You
and
were
wrestling.
instructed.
Bro, what?
Yeah. So that initially that shows you the like history of the business.
Hot dog and a handshake in exchange for a fan base.
Exactly. That shows you that should have been a red flag to me, right? Because it was like how the shadiness of the business
the
and how things just drop in your lap. Yeah. So that's literally how I signed up to be a wrestler. And I went up there with my friend John and Sanjay Dutt. He was still indie guy at the time, so we went up there and started
we got
training.
this mark now.
Pretty much started training, and that's how I got into it. So
Wow.
So wait, you went to an underground fighting ring. Just talk.
I think it was actually at Nation's nightclub. I think it's where it was actually.
Nation's nightclub.
Yeah, I don't think that's around anymore, but that's where it was.
Bro,
It's
that's such a
definitely
Guillermo del Toro ass script.
It was
right
crazy,
there.
man. It was crazy.
That's such a Guillermo del Toro movie.
Showed up for a fight and ended up with a job. Pretty much.
Yeah.
An assignment that could potentially lead to a job.
But I will say this: what initially got me, because at first I was iffy, because I knew I was thinking about doing it anyway. But when I watched these two wrestlers, Sanjay Dutt and Dirty Money, do like this quick, like little 10-minute match, and at that point, I don't know if you guys seen like early Sanjay Dutt before, but these guys were flipping and flying and suicidos before people were doing suicide topes. And when I watched that match, like, yeah, I want to do this, but I just hadn't had the opportunity to verbally state that. Yeah, so definitely locked me in that night.
So Johnny, let people know how you went from Jonathan Elliott, Soldier, to Jonathan Elliott, The Reason.
So I mean, it's a real long evolution, right? So like,
we got time.
Yeah. So wrestling school. So the school that I actually joined wasn't really a reputable one. So the name of the school was Kaido Pro Wrestling, and it stood for Keep Your Dreams Alive.
Okay.
And it was kind of the guy that ran it. I give him a hard time. I'm kind of over it now, so I'm not as mean to him as I used to be. His name was Sweet Jimmy Z. He actually moved out to Morgantown a couple years ago.
Yeah, that's right. You told me about that.
That's the guy that starts his name with Sweet.
Sweet. Yeah,
Listen, guys, sweets are the worst.
So Sweet, I'll go as far as I'll go short. Just I won't say he was a con man, but he was pretty close to it, right? So wrestling school is one of those things where it's like not everyone's gonna make it, right? And even the ones that are gonna get far are gonna fall short. But the rest of school is successful off how many people it gets to join and how many people they can convince to keep at it, right? Because that's how you make your money,
right?
So the school I went to, at some point he actually stopped using the ring, and we'd actually just end up going to a preschool center and resting and crashing on mat pads. So I felt like something was off with this school, and I was like, I don't think I'm going to do this. It seems like it's a sham. And I stopped going, and I stopped paying the guy. So he sent me a lawsuit letter in the mail. I still remember the day I got it. I was so hot. And I called him, and like I threatened him. This is when I was young. I was like 19. I was real young, so I didn't know about you can't be threatening people and rolling up on them.
Right.
I called him. I threatened him. I showed up. He had the cops on the phone. It was all kinds of craziness. And then like I actually had my mother look at it, and I'm like, "Ma, is this for like? Can he do this?" And she's like, "Yeah, you got to pay him, baby." You know, like so I called a dude
Can you
back.
afford to pay me to mess around?
Exactly. So I called him back. I was like, "Okay, man, you know, I know I said all that stuff. I know you were this way, but you know, I'm gonna stick to my commitment, and we'll go from there." So he was happy that I was gonna pay him. But at that point, Sanjay was training there too. And the funny part about Sanjay Dutt was he didn't really get formal training either. He was one of those guys when you talk about backyard wrestling, like that was his thing. Like he see videos of him flipping around on the playground with his boys, like all the shooting stars and all the stuff he does. He's doing on the thing. So he had, and this was back before people were actually doing that stuff. So he had learned how to bump and then start going to wrestle places. So he was going up to Philly and Jersey to wrestle, and I'm like, "Hey man, can I just come with you, man? I really like just ride with you and watch and see what's going on." And he hated Jimmy. Well, he disliked Jimmy Z too. So he was like, "I hate's a strong word. I don't want to say anybody hated anybody," but he's like, "Yeah, come on." So I just started going to shows with the dude, and we like, you know, went up to CZW, Jersey All Pro, all these places up, you know, in the Northeast. And like I would just like watch and I pay attention and I get in the ring and I roll around, and then when Carback's home, I asked him why he did this and why he did that. And this dude has, like, back then, you know, outside of the digital age, it was hard to get a hold of tapes. But this dude, him and his father, this was like his thing. And so if you went into his house, you know, Ashburn, Virginia, he had a room that was just a room lined with just wrestling tapes. Like one, like a garage like you and me would have, just a room of just wrestling tapes. Like anything you can imagine, Lucha Libre, Japanese, British wrestling, he had it in there on tapes. And we would just, that would be a Saturday night for us. We just, like, me and my friends, we go Saturday and we just pop in tapes, watch them. And I asked him, "Hey, why they do it like that? Why they do it like this?" And he would tell me the best that he knew. And then I went back to train, and I'm like light years better than I was. And I'm like 100 times better than anybody there. And they're like, "Where you been?" It's like, "No." Huh? So I just started going with this dude and wrestling and getting booked. And so the initial name that they gave me there, I had just got out the Army, and I was pretty athletic, and I thought I could do anything. Like there was nothing back there. You could ask me to do anything. I'd be like, I could do it. And I remember one time we went to Baltimore to train with a wrestler called Ruckus one day, and Ruckus was another flippy guy that him and Sanjay used to have all these matches with. So I'm like, I could do a 450 splash, and at the time, Sanjay's like, "Johnny, no, you can't. Shut up." I'm like, "No, I can do a 450 splash." And he's like, "Well, show me." So I got up there, did a 450 splash, almost hit it. I'm gonna do it again. Got up there. Snap, broke my ankle. So I was like, okay, I can't do everything. So, but yeah, I would just travel with this guy, and I got on the show, and they gave me this crappy name. My name was C.A. Elliott at first, and the C.A. stood for C.A. because Jimmy Z thought I was a cocky asshole. So he's like, "Oh, that's gonna be my joke. We're gonna call you C.A. Elliott, cocky asshole, right? That's your name, C.A. No one else is gonna get the joke but me." That was his thing. All these inside jokes.
So
like I start so I start getting up to CZW and stuff, and they can't be. They're asking what is C.A. Elliott? Like that, then everybody was about gimmicks. What is C.A. Elliott? What is C.A. Elliott? And I remember we were driving through Philly, and back then Allen Iverson was real hot, and they had a billboard up, and it was like the answer Allen Iverson. I was like, yeah, I like that. I like that. I'm gonna be the reason. I'm just gonna be just the reason. So I started rolling with that. People goes, "What is the reason?" And people make jokes. Is it like M&Ms, or are you like a bag of M&Ms? I'm like, how do you get that from the reason? But yeah, that's how I started to be the reason. Where I was like, I knew I needed something. And then I kind of just started rolling around with that. So I started off with the name, and then I got a booking down in Virginia, Norfolk area. And I was like, you know what, let me play with this. And I said, you know what, I'm the reason. So I sound real militant, right? So let me go like kind of like Black Panther, but not full Black Panther, because I don't want to like make people uncomfortable.
Right.
But like I kind of just like roll with that, and I did that for a while, and it got over.
I do want to make people uncomfortable.
And I took that to I took that up there to WXW, was ran by Samu, one half of the old head shrinkers. I worked up there with him a little bit with the reason. And I kind of just stuck with that for a little bit until I went back into the Army the second time, right when I did your podcast the last time.
Right.
And I stuck with the reason. And I had a name change after that. But yeah, that's where the reason came from, was I needed something, and I saw Allen Iverson on the billboard one day. I was like, Don, let me try something like that.
Look at AI inspiring people in all walks of life, man.
One of the most influential players of the NBA, influencing outside of the NBA, brother.
Of course. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Of course.
So
Hey,
what up,
man,
Mark Rob?
should we announce? Oh, there you go.
I got you. I'm already over here.
There we go.
Good. What's good? What's going on, fellas?
You know, just learning about my cousin's wrestling history. You know, getting to the wrestling origins and everything. Did you want to do your proper introduction though to officially set off the Rasslecast piece so he can know who you're all about?
Yo, it's your motherfucking boy, the Mark Rob, aka Sean Mad Love, aka Gordon Darks, aka Four Eye Willie, aka Pacey Twitter, aka King Chitlin, aka Flavor Ramon, aka Big Sexy Kevin Splash, aka Bollywood Bulk Bogan, aka Rick Thrash, aka The Meat, aka Safi Saigun. Let's get the Grammys 37 years straight to watch wrestling, aka Twerk Angle, aka Fluff Bagwell, aka Larry July. Don't check me, check the real recipe. What's going on?
What's up, man? Hey,
Man, slapping me.
definitely got enough names to be in wrestling. That's for sure.
He sure does, man. He is the thought father. So I'm glad you're here, Mark Rob.
Glad to be here.
So how much gold have you won, Johnny? I've seen a lot of belts over the years. I need to know how much gold is in our family.
You know, I haven't won as much as I'd like to, but you know, usually most places I've gone to, like in the Northeast and everything, people will usually like see something in me and they usually like, oh, we want to put a title on you. So I mean, if I counted like all the titles, I mean, I've only really had like 5 titles, but you know, that's not the goal. You know, you want when you
Only
go
5.
only 5, but when you go in, the goal is for them to like, you're the guy they remember when they leave for the night, and that's always been what I chase. So like a lot of places I go, and I want to be the match that night. I don't have to be like even like, you know, most popular wrestler, but I always want to get that moment where all the fans go, oh yeah, you remember that guy? The Reason did this. That's awesome. And it's like, I like to be remembered. So I won quite a bit of belts. I won some up in Pittsburgh area. This place called RWA. They put a title on me. Kaida put a title on me. Norfolk put a title on me. Usually wherever I wrestle, I get some kind of title. Whether it's like, I might not be the top belt, but I always end up being like a tag champion or like their secondary champion at some point.
See, that's that CA Elliott coming out. I hear it now.
Yeah.
Everywhere I go, all I ever seem to see is gold, 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 gold.
Hilarious.
I know, right?
Let's ride the whip.
That was just supposed to say, "Ooh, I'm sorry."
It worked. It worked out.
We back, baby.
So, what was one of your most memorable matches that you've had, Johnny? Like in your career, because you've been wrestling for a long minute.
Yeah, I actually hate telling people how long I've been in wrestling, man, because it's weird. Because it's like I've been, like I said, I started when I was 19. I'm 41 now, but if you put all those together. And this is always something of contention when I was younger. Like, are you really wrestling if you're wrestling like once a month? So it's like I've been in it for around 20 years, but I always tell people I've only had like 10 years of experience, just from like I didn't really get hot and heavy towards recently or to the end where I was like wrestling every weekend.
Yeah.
But initially, like, what was the original question again? My bad.
No, I just said, what's one of your most memorable matches you had?
There we go. I always get confused. So many matches, man. I mean, one of the most memorable matches I had was against Julio De Niro. I did that back in 2010 at a place in West Virginia. And Julio De Niro is a guy that was in ECW and kind of just like a legend around the Baltimore, Maryland area. And that was a really good match. And I always say that was memorable because at that point in time, I was going back to the Army for reasons. And I was like, I felt like I had lost a step. And when I wrestled him, we had a great match. And this guy who's been, you know, ECW, he's been on TV, he's been in TNA. He comes to me, he goes, man, you're great, man. Why are you leaving, man? Like, you know, kind of put me over, like, you should do this, man. That was really good. Like, so that kind of like got my confidence back, but I was already on my way out the first time.
Yeah.
Any match I ever had with Sanjay, just because I felt like I just learned so much more going into it with him, because that guy's a genius in the ring. I don't know if you guys have ever seen, like, I know you've seen like his Impact stuff maybe, but like he really is like a literal genius on like how he puts matches together and stuff. And then
I'm only really familiar with Impact, so I need to go find some of his stuff.
He's a genius. And then, you know, just anytime I was in the ring with Roddy Piper when he was doing his last roundabout before he passed, that was pretty cool. Just, you know, childhood heroes. I met Ron Simmons recently, and that was cool. And he like put me over big, like, hey, what you doing here is great. You're doing a good job. I like what you do. So it's just anytime you get reassurance from people that have done greater than you, it's always nice to hear. So
yeah, absolutely. So
What was he like?
Ron, he's like your southern. He's like your southern. I mean, you hear the old stories about him, man. I don't know how he is in the locker room when he was active, but he just comes off like this, like old southern grandpa, dude. He's like cool. Everybody, he's polite to everybody. He doesn't BS you. He tells you if he likes something. He tells you when he doesn't like something. Wears cowboy boots. He's just old country dude. Man.
Yeah, yesterday I was watching Lex Luger talk about his workout.
Yeah,
and he's talking about like how he got mad at Ron because he was just like throwing plates on like only 45s, and he's just throwing them up, and then he gets to like 505 and he throws it up like 5 times and leaves, and he's like.
It's just
And Lex Luger's like, I was so mad.
Because Ron wasn't a bodybuilder, man. He came from that Florida football program, so he was just a natural athlete. He didn't have to do much, So
right, man.
Lex Luger was a bodybuilder, so he had to I got to work on this part of the bicep. I got to work on this trapeze,
Yeah, absolutely. Like Ron always gave me OG vibes anyway, even when he's younger. He just looked like he was that calming presence. Yeah. Yes.
Yeah, like a slap from him is worse than a punch from most people. Is like just that.
What was crazy to me is because I actually met the guy, but these stories are coming out about him where he beat up Ahmed Johnson or he did stuff like that. And you're like, what? Because he really doesn't come off like that. But
Grandpa.
Yeah, he's a good dude, man. He's respectful, and I told him, I said, you're a star, dude. I mean, you're a legend. I shouldn't even be. He didn't even look at it like that. He goes, man, I got to go home and get yelled at by my wife just like anybody else.
Country. So
pants
country.
on one leg at a charm, man. That's amazing.
He's as great as I thought he was.
So you said that he put you over real big and liked everything that you're doing. So I'm going to segue that into how did you get involved behind the scenes with things such as Virginia
like anything
wrestling and things like that.
Anything in wrestling, man, you kind of just fall into it. But like the last time I talked to you about wrestling, I was done with wrestling. I had just came back from Afghanistan. I was in the army. I had no intention of wrestling again.
Yeah.
And I came out. I mean, we're kind of skipping over the Shakara part, but I'll kind of like tell you how I got to VCW through there. But when I came back out the army, I got out in like 2013, and then like 6 months from there, one of the kids that I used to train, he goes by Logan Easton LaRue. He was going up to Shakara because Mike Quackenbush, who the guy that ran Shakara, he was all like, I need a new tag team, and I got these kids coming to do it. And the guy he originally had with him lived in Norfolk, and they had to drive to Philly that day, and he wasn't understanding like wrestling's a traveling sport, so he wasn't prepared to drive from Norfolk to Philly all in one day to get seen.
Right.
So this guy named Chris called me. He goes, hey man, Logan's supposed to have this guy to go up there with you. The guy pulled out. Can you go with him? And I'm walking around like Dulles Town Center Mall, and I'm like, I don't really want to get back into wrestling. I said, fine, I'll do it. So Logan had to drive back. He had made all the way to Pittsburgh. He had to drive back to Northern Virginia, come grab me, and then we drove to Philly that day and got there, and we met Quack, and then we didn't even do anything. We got there, we met Quack, and he looked at us like, okay, yeah, that'll work. Yeah, you guys, I'll book you out. See you guys this time next month. And then we went back out there, and he's sending us these emails. I don't know if you ever heard stories about Quackenbush, but he's like a very meticulous person. So he's sending us emails about what the characters are, what he wants us to do, what he wants our gear to look like. He's sending us all this stuff. And I'm looking at him like, dude, does he want us to be high energy? Like, come on, be wearing Owen Hart? And I'm looking at it, and he's like, yeah, I want y'all to be. He's like, yeah, he wants us to be like a playoff of high energy. And I'm like, oh my God, I said, all right. That's it. Whatever. It's the opportunity. Let's do it. So we went back there. He named me Height Rockwell. He named Logan Race Jackson, and it was spelled Jaxson. It had to be particular.
Oh boy.
The generator Race Jackson.
The generator was generating.
And we were NRG, just in _R_G. Never understood what it meant. Just knew it was a playoff of high energy. Yeah, it was underscores. So we went up there.
Underscores? Oh no.
Underscores.
Lightning
I was like,
with like lightning going through the name if they had the graphic.
I mean it was literally just checker suit. Like I was in green and checkers with an orange jacket, and he was in blue and checkers with a lime green jacket. It was crazy, man. So he went there and we wrestled, and he liked us, and we basically just tuned for this went on for like 3 years. After like 6 months, he made us like their tag champions, which was a big deal because like this is a guy that like trained Claudio Castagnoli and Mike Eddie Kingston. We were in the locker room with these people too. Like Eddie Kingston was there. That dude's surly, but we were there with him. Claudio, Jimmy Jacobs. Like we were in this here. Me and Logan are in this locker room with all these big names. We're just trying to like, do they even like us? Like, are we doing good? No one's telling us anything. No one's giving us any feedback.
Right.
And what sucked for me was I'm this guy who I was really molded by like Japanese style wrestling. So I was strong style. Like I was like American strong style. That was like my initial style back before this happened.
Mm-hmm.
And like I had been like in CCW, I tagged with Adam Cole, I wrestled Joe Gacy, all these people, and now here I am in this cartoon gimmick. But in my mind, like it's not for me, it's for Logan because this is his break, right? So we're doing this
putting somebody over. You see,
yeah,
right. For
so 6 months into it, they make us the tag champions, and what we don't know, like Orange Cassidy's there, stuff like that. Drew Gulak, all these people were there, and they're all mad at us because we didn't train there. They don't know us, and he makes us the champions. So there was like this like backstage like heat thing that we weren't fully aware of.
You guys know we didn't make that decision, right?
Yeah, right. But we eventually got everybody on our side, and we were champs there for like a year till we lost to Mustache Mountain in Canada when we eventually lost them. Yeah, but like it was a good experience because we got to we traveled the world as that tag team. Like we defend our titles in the UK twice. We wrestled in Wales, we wrestled in Scotland, Canada, Mexico. Like he took us all over the place. But like so that happened, that eventually happened, and they did the whole Rockers breakup with us where like Logan turns on me, drops a stage on me, we have our like comeback, wrestle off each other's, and we split. Mm-hmm. And I don't think we really did that well in that environment at Split because I went off this way, and we were like when we weren't together, NRG thing didn't work. Like High Rockbo didn't work without Race Jackson. So eventually I kind of tapered off, and they didn't really have anything for me. So I kind of was like, all right, back to the shadows. And then he started doing a gimmick with a mask called Blank and ran with that. So all that happened, and I was kind of out of wrestling again. So that was probably like 2018. Mm-hmm. So when 2018 happened, I just followed him, just paid attention to wrestling or whatever. And I was kind of out of wrestling again. And then the pandemic hit. that was the next thing that happened. So the pandemic hit, and the pandemic threw not only just the world out of rotation, but like professional wrestling, lives off of live events and being able to be around fans. So that whole industry turned upside down to where, you had the generation of AEW had just started. So that was like a lot of weird stuff going over there. And WWE was doing the Thunderdome, with the people piped in on the TVs. And the most important thing happened was speaking out. So when speaking out happened, a lot of people, some deserved, some undeserved, lost their jobs, right?
Yes. So
VCW was this company in Norfolk that had been running for like 25 years or something at that time. Like they were running shows back in like 1992, 93. And the owner of the company at the time got caught up in one of those speaking out scandals.
Right.
And everybody was kind of like, oh, we're not going to that show anymore. We're done with that company, whatever. So I had wrestled for them a couple times, and one of the guys that worked under him, his name's Jerry Stephanisis, he hits me up, and me and him were pretty good friends. And we were talking about it. And he goes, yeah, I don't know what I'm going to do. Like, I need he's not in it anymore. We're separating. We have to like kind of rebrand our identity. And at the time I was kind of itching to be around wrestling again. And I said, Jerry, I said, I can book it for you. And he's like, you would do that? I'm like, yeah, I'll book it for you. We'll do it for a little bit and see how it goes. So they made me the booker. And I kind of just rebranded what VCW was. I went in a whole different direction. I used all my contacts that I had. I had a different vision for what I wanted the wrestling to be. Because they were kind of still stuck in that like 1980 NWA Mid Atlantic North Carolina territory style wrestling. Like, if you can get guys wrestling like Flair and Wyndham every night, they'd have been happy, kind of thing, right?
Yeah.
Which is fine. There's nothing wrong with that wrestling.
Pontiac Firebirds and
exactly.
Yeah.
There's nothing wrong with that wrestling. But one of the things,
all it is. Yeah, wrestling is a variety show. You know? Yeah.
So one of the gifts that Sanjay Dutt gave me last. So when I was in the Army at the time, he was doing he was producing for Jeff Jarrett when he was running Rock King. The whole Indian shoot off they were doing. So he was learning how to produce, how to do all that top tier wrestling TV stuff, right? And then he started running. Jeff came up with an independent company called Global Wrestling. It was Global Wrestling, where he was doing like a shoot off, traveling wrestling, bringing all these people in. So I just started asking Sanjay like about producing and about how do you like behind the scenes of the wrestling. Again, this guy just was patient and talked to me and kind of put me in on touch on stuff. And at that time, he had just got hired as a coach at the Performance Center, where he would have become a producer on TV eventually. But I learned just like, why do you have a segment here? Or why do you want this to go on this part of TV? Or how do you segue from this, different stuff. And I took that knowledge and I went to VCW with it. And I brought in these characters that people would never be able to see in Virginia. Like, I got people that come from Delaware, Philly, Louisiana. I have people that come from all over and kind of just show them a different type of wrestling. And I kind of just built off of that. So that's how I got into booking. And it's been going well. I've been doing it for about 2.5 years now. So.
Yeah, because we talked about it like in the pandemic. We were talking about it and everything. So you told me you got in that side of it, and I always see the posts and everything. So they give you an actual book, right?
Yeah.
There's a book and there's is that what it is?
Like, walk around with a pencil. They call it the book, right? Because I don't know if you see Sanjay's gimmick on Impact on AEW. He always has a pencil in his ear.
Yeah.
But like the whole thing is because everything always changes, so you're always changing stuff in the book. They call it the booker because you're always like, no matter what you plan to do, I can have a whole show planned out a month in advance, and everything's going to change a week before.
Yeah, there's just no avoiding it, man. You lose wrestlers, you gain wrestlers. There's storylines you got to move up.
Like while I'm doing this right now, one of my wrestlers just Facebooked me and said he has a conflict of dates. I'm going to figure that out after this. But like, stuff always happens like that all the time.
You're paying the cost to be the boss, man. That's all it is. That is all it is. So, I mean, I don't have anything else that from your origins that I need to know. So I feel like
that was heavy origins. So more than most folks, you go from a fandom to a career to another part of that career for sure.
Yeah, I don't know if y'all can tell he's family, so that's on me. That's on me. But I was feeling like we could move on to the gauntlet if you're
I want to get a couple of we got the straight ahead answers. I'm trying to get weird with it. Let's see. This ain't even weird. I just want to hear what you think. What's the best call you've ever heard from a commentator in wrestling?
The best call?
Best call.
The most iconic thing that sticks in your craw. Stone Cold.
Yeah, I was saying it's got to be Jim Ross, right? Like,
Jim Ross probably said it. Yeah.
He's got so much. It's just like when. Okay, so I don't remember the exact phrase, but whenever Jim Ross, because the whole point of a commentator is to be neutral, right? They're supposed to just, like, deliver what's going on and kind of.
I know where this is going.
Yeah, and then whenever he had those certain parts of like when something so bad happened in the ring, where he starts going off, he's like, "God damn it, he's a goddamn villain!" Like when he starts going off like that, like whenever Jim Ross goes off like that, it's great. And I can't give you a specific quote, but whenever he did that, I would say that was iconic. A
lot of times in the Attitude Era,
because it meant something. It meant something.
I thought with the Dudleys and Triple H for sure. He hated Triple H's guts, bro.
Yeah.
But what was special about it is he only did it in the most impactful time because he wouldn't like really put a lot of his personal opinion on it until something really happened. So when Jim Ross was mad about it, you knew this was bad. So
it was just like, yeah, it was like, all right, we've gone too far. I just saw a dead man hurl lightning, but to hurl it at his grandmother is just too far for Jim Ross. All right.
Yeah.
He's a dirty son of a bitch.
Dirty son of I mean, I think Morrow had a lot of them too.
Morrow did it.
But I think he was like writing his stuff down and being like, yeah, that's gonna kill him. You know what I mean? Like I think it was like some of his stuff, like he would do like especially like anything that was like on Twitter that week. How he
that was him. He was all about pop culture, so it was like whatever was current events at that time, he was trying to work it into his call.
Yeah, like, he'll just like quote Drake
or like or say something about Taylor Swift. Like, what does Taylor Swift have to do with this match? What?
Like no, dog. He's bringing everybody in. He's bringing folks in. He's bringing in the girlfriends who don't want to watch wrestling right now. But
did he say Taylor Swift? What's happening?
I'm pretty sure he said Taylor Swift. It would always. I remember him saying something about Taylor Swift, and we were like, because we're all in these group messages, and we're like, did he really just say that? Like, this is crazy, like. I don't know what it was. I remember him bringing up Taylor Swift in a match, and I was like, what? That's left field.
I wouldn't put it past him. Mark Rob, do you have a favorite call that you got in mind?
Jim Ross, Hell in a Cell. Not Hell in a Cell.
Mankind Undertaker.
Yeah, I guess the second is Hell in a Cell. Yeah. Mankind Undertaker. Yeah. God Almighty, he killed him. Like,
yeah, broken in half. Yeah, broken in half is another one. Those are there are people in there. The Chainsaw Charlie and Cactus Jack. Yeah, those are just classic calls. But I mean, that's one dude just sitting there on a microphone for long enough to create like that much stuff. It's crazy.
Yeah, he himself is iconic, man. Because you can go through all like the people in his position, like a Tony Schiavone, or you can go through like Mike Tenay, or like even like even like the color guys. You can think Jess Ventura, Bobby Heenan. You could always remember their energy, but like Jim Ross was like quotable, like so.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, and all of Bobby Heenan's quotables are like mad racist. It was just like, you're like no, what he said about Virgil.
It was a different time.
He got Virgil 92 Rumble. It was like, what number is Virgil? 15. 15? Go back there and check everybody's bags.
Which is crazy because he's like telling the future about Virgil. You do gotta check your bags around that guy.
Virgil.
If you're not Caucasian, then leave.
I'm going to throw out a recent call. I'm going to do Michael Cole when Sami Zayn and KO beat the Usos on night one of WrestleMania this past year. Like I felt like he really made that moment even bigger when they finally beat the Usos. So I'm going to shout out Michael Cole there because I was going to do Mankind and The Rock when Mankind first won the championship because he was calling that too. So
yeah, that's the rejuvenated Michael Cole. At that point, yeah.
You got it.
You got a question?
I do. I got a classic, a Rasslecast classic.
There we go.
Surfer Sting or Crow Sting?
Ooh.
I'm gonna take Surfer Sting, man. If you look back now,
fucking gold.
Nah, I'm gonna say, man. If you look back, like he's been Crow Sting a lot longer than he was Surfer Sting, but Surfer Sting was like, that's what made him, man. He was iconic. Surfer Sting. That was what you remember, He
was so
I don't know.
dope.
Yeah, the beach blonde hair and the different colors.
He was a warrior of light, dog. He didn't have to go hide behind fucking painted black.
Nasty.
I kind of held on. Like I was like, he's going back to Surfer Sting one day. He's going back to Surfer, and he never did. But
he knew better. He knew better.
I'm surprised he didn't try to bring it out on TNA, but then he had Joker Sting. So I guess.
Yeah, he's always done like different things on his own, but it was always like Crow Sting was the basis for it.
It needs to come full circle and be. We need to get a Surfer Darby. Let's get a Surfer Darby Allen. He's already skateboarding, dog. Like Surfer Darby. Come on, bro.
It's an amalgamation.
It'd be cold if they pulled
emo.
it off.
Yeah, he could do like a Todoroki thing and paint both sides of his face, but like that's what's missing over there, dog, is his surfer side. See? Come on, dog.
I think Brian Cage did something where he kind of like dressed like old school Sting on a show for some reason. I forget
Brian
why,
Cage.
And that's the first Brian Cage reference on the Rasslecast in 14.
Probably the last. I'm joking.
Oh, you might not be wrong, bro. Might not be wrong. Shoot. We know where me and Mark Rob land on that one. We're close.
Yeah, you guys are on the wrong side of history.
Wrong side of history. Whatever.
Oh, what pro wrestler do you think would make the best guidance counselor?
I'm gonna go left field with this one and say $1 Million Man. That'd be your best guidance counselor.
No.
Oh no, my brother. You gonna end up doing
I want you to follow. I want you to look at my path. I want you to look at my path and go the exact opposite way.
You may defraud the state of Mississippi for
welfare cheat, bro.
But it's not a serious question. A serious answer to that question, I would say, just from like listening to his podcast, Booker T. Like Booker T. Like right now would be like the best guidance counselor for anybody because he's just like he's a wise dude. He's always giving it out, and yeah, I would say Booker T.
Now, when you go on there, don't say nigga. No matter what you want to do, no matter what part of the street is calling out to you, dog, do not say nigga, man. You ain't gonna have Sherry there. Shit.
I'll tell you a funny story why I would say that. And this is the first because I've actually never really told anybody I did this. And if he ever finds out, I have friends that know. If he ever finds out, I'm getting in trouble. But
should I edit this out?
No, you're good. You're good. So we were coming back from CZW, and back then I was like a really good prankster because in wrestling, like you pass the time back then, it was rib. How hard can you rib somebody? Rib this, rib that.
Like
I've done some.
Okay.
Yeah, I've done some pretty good ribs, and so one of the ribs was I would call people as Tilo, and mess with them on the phone. So one night, I won't tell you who gave me his number to protect him, but they gave me Booker T's number, and we're driving home. It's like 1 a.m, and I call Booker T on the phone. I'm like, "Hey man, it's Tilo. This is Tilo, man." He goes, and I was surprised. He picked up at 1 a.m, first of all, but he's like, "Hey, what's up, man?" And I said, "Booker, man, this is Tilo." He goes, "What?" I go, "Man, you was at a show and you took my girl, dog. We got to talk about that." And he was like, "Man, what you talking about, man?" Yeah, I said, "Man, you took my girl home, man. We got a problem with that, man. That was my life." And I went through this whole thing with him. And what killed me was he just was on the phone going with her, right? And I was just like, he started like talking me out of it. He goes, "Dog, we ain't even got to be like that, man. Like, let's talk about it, man. You don't need her no." They started giving me like, "Guy, you don't need her no way. You better off, bro. Like, a rat's a rat." Like, and it went on for like 10 minutes. And I was like, I can't even. I said, "I'm gonna let you go, man. I can't even." It was just funny. The funny part was that he just stayed on the call like the whole time. So, like giving me like trying to like talk me down. It was hilarious. So that's why I would say.
Man, you don't know. I used to hang out with Scarface and the ghetto boys. All right.
So yeah, that's why I would say he would be the best guys counselor because that dude. He would have talked anybody off a clip that night. It was hilarious.
That's crazy, man.
Yeah.
He's probably trying to figure out exactly who he's talking about. Which one? He's like, man, I can't. There's so many. There's so many times I probably did that.
The fact that he stayed on it lets you know that it was something that was possible. So.
Right. Like it don't gotta be all that, man. It don't gotta be all that. That's awesome. My answer is Jade Cargill would make for a good guidance counselor.
Oh God. Why is that? I gotta hear this.
Go on.
Jade is supremely confident, and so if someone was going to come to me and then tell me about your problems, and you're trying to give them guidance, I would want somebody like Jade across from me, who could really. She could probably give you the she'll definitely. Can be nice and can be soothing at first, but there's going to be a certain point where she's done with you, and then she's just going to give you nothing but tough love, man. It's going to be highly motivating because she just will be in there telling you what you're doing wrong in your life, and this is what you need to do. You need to listen to a boss bitch like me and go quit being a little bitch yourself. I can totally see
I mean, she does have a psych degree, so I guess that wouldn't be far off from it. So
Hey, Jade Cargill, baby.
I need some therapy.
I would never make you fix a black man's problem, girl. I'm gonna come in here with my shit together, all ready to go, already. Lord.
God damn it, y'all motherfucking women look good. Y'all like a bigger leg sandwich look good.
I don't know. I'll go obvious. DDP. Come on.
Yes.
DDP. He's literally trying to save his friends' lives. I'm gonna go
Yes,
with
he has.
DDP.
Yes, he has.
It's literally his job, man.
Yeah, I'll sell that one too. Yeah, that's a good one.
I'll throw
All right,
Triple
then
H
I'll-
out there for honorable mention because
I'll take Kevin
he's always
Nash
been
too,
like that.
because
yeah,
if you gotta like meet a quota or something, like if it's just a class, he's also gonna be late. He's not gonna give you a hard time about it. Like, whatever, just piss in the cup, man. I got a guy. Just come on, don't do dumb. Come on. Yeah, he'll help you figure it out. He's probably like a better PO.
anybody who
I
maybe
mean,
sat Shawn Michaels when he's at his worst all them years definitely could be a good guidance counselor. So him and Triple H for sure.
He is actually giving off big guidance counselor energy now.
Oh yeah,
Like a
4,000%.
big ass ring of keys. Eating his lunch on the go.
All right, so
We got time for one more.
we got time for one more. I don't want to do if you could create your own pay-per-view because you do that in real life. Let's go with what. You're a booker. What terrible storyline do you think you could fix? What terrible storyline out of all in history that you're like, I can fix that.
Oh man,
I can make that. I can put that over.
And yeah, this is just a you question because you're actually speaking from a spot of experience.
We fantasy booked this stuff.
We'll ride it out.
nah, I'll stay on brand. I'll stay on brand. If I look at a spot that an angle that went really bad that I think I could have like fixed with some minute tweaks, I would say the whole Katie Vick angle with Kane and Triple H. I could have probably fixed that one.
Oh no!
Wow. Go big or go home.
Yeah, I mean, all you had to do to fix that one is just don't let Triple H get in that casket. Like right when he's like about to get there, Kane comes out of nowhere, boom, takes him out. Like at least the attempt in itself was bad enough to get the heat they were trying to draw from that. So they went a little too far with the shock value of him doing it, and then squeeze, all that extra stuff made it stupid. But the heat they were trying to draw for Kane and Triple H for their match could have been done just with the attempt of it, I think. So, and I'm just thinking about like bad angles that like ridiculously bad angles in my head. So
Right.
Yeah, you went for the worst. The worst one that ever happened.
Because when I think of the worst, that one pops in my head like, damn, just why did they put that on TV?
Yeah.
Yeah, it was really
that or Mark Henry with old chick in the hand. I don't know.
That just popped in my head. So
that could have been like, they could have made that cute. You know what I'm saying? They could have made that cute and got the same.
Well, I think they ran themselves into a wall and was like, what's the most outlandish thing we can do with this?
Just gave birth to a damn hand. Damn hand. Hey, Vince. What do you think of this?
If you're not Caucasian, then leave.
Huh?
Oh boy!
And that's pretty much what happened. That's pretty much what happened. Like, Mark Henry's getting too far over. We gotta kill this sexual chocolate character a little bit. We gotta back it up. I know. Send Mae Young in here. I want to talk to her.
Give him diabetes. Oh no.
Oh shit.
Oh
shit.
All right, let's do it, man. Let's pull this plane up right into the Rasslecast Hall of Fame, man.
Hall of Fame.
You looked positioned to say words, Hyphen. I'm sorry.
That's just how I ended. It's perfectly fine. So, it's been a minute. This first time this season, the Rasslecast Power Hour Hall of Fame is where a new guest, or sometimes we just get a wild hair, we will induct people into the Hall of Fame. It could be any position in any wrestling company, anywhere. It could be anything except for Vince McMahon, because he's the only person who got vetoed out.
No.
Vetoed out. Oh God.
No, you guys put him in. So That's your
You
mistake.
are always
You gotta live
doing
with it.
this.
Nah, bro. He out of there.
Cheyenne
bro.
put him in, and then
Yep.
the news broke, and then we revoked his access. He's not in the Hall of Fame.
No. So here's what happened. Cheyenne nominated him. Showing Mad Love immediately said, "We can't let this happen." And then he was overruled. And then somehow magically days later, weeks and months later, oh no, we can't let it happen. Nope.
No,
Y'all gotta live with this.
The news broke almost immediately about Vince. The first reason we walked. That's why that was the catalyst. Me and Eric were like, let's just go ahead and do it.
No, we can't. Now listen, we had rumors. We can go with like, no.
We got standards. Y'all gotta live with it. We got standards.
He's not in the Hall.
He's in the Hall.
He's not.
Mr. The Reason, it's up for your nomination. Who would you like to put into?
Well, I'm looking through this list of names here on this list. I'm surprised you guys do not have Mr. Sid Justice / Mr. Sid Vicious on there.
Sid's not in?
Nah, I didn't see him on there.
No, he is not.
Damn. Whoops.
I guess he's not.
Multiple world champion in both major companies.
The Sid story's been told multiple times on Rasslecast, so that's crazy.
Yeah, no.
That blew my mind. I was like, no Sid Vicious out there. Okay.
Yeah, I went to the well. It is also. It's not left up to us at that point. We have a lot of people who come in and like nominate different people for different reasons, and so like that's why MJF is in there, like the season 2.
I saw that.
That was
I was like,
one. He went in
pretty quick.
Him before she put Hangman in.
Yeah. So the people pick who they pick for the reasons that they pick them. So
that was before he even won AEW champion.
Mm-hmm.
Just off alone of Sid versus Shawn, that whole angle, but like he's done a lot. So I wouldn't book him today because he won't show up. But he'll have a mystery baseball game. You'll buy him a plane ticket and everything, and then he'll be like, "Oh, I missed the plane, brother. It was a softball game today or something like that." But
softball game.
No,
I mean,
I swear to God,
known to do that. Yeah, he's been known to do that.
They tried to book him like 2008. And had him advertised and everything, and then the day of, he just didn't get on the plane and said something about a softball game.
See, that's funny. That's how his Sid story goes, because the Warrior was supposed to be there, and then Sid was there instead, and Sid killed the guy. Sid killed the guy.
Yeah, shout out. Yeah, go back into the archives and find Sid killed the guy.
Yeah, the archives are readily available. So we got Sid in the Hall. We got The Reason, who's been here. My cousin. Yes, I am connected to wrestling somehow besides this podcast. I got some authenticity on my side of the family.
There you
go. So, Johnny, tell the people how they can find you, where you're at. Tell the people all the things that you're going to be doing.
I appreciate that. So, I mean, pretty much just for me, anything you want to know about my company, BCW Wrestling, you can look at bcwwrestling.com. That'll have all of information on it. We have a show coming up November 11th, Veterans Day weekend in Alexandria, Virginia. It's going to be really big. My best friend, Logan Easton LaRue, is having his last singles match against Willer Yuta. Nyla Rose will be on the show. We have some other surprises that I haven't announced yet, but some other notable AEW people will probably be there. And it's going to be a good time. It's our first time in that market. We're trying to get out of the Norfolk area and kind of up into that DMV area. So if you're listening to this podcast, you're in that area, come on out November 11th. It'll be a great show. But yeah, anything else, bcwwrestling.com. And I got stuff on YouTube. You look up any of the names, C.A. Elliott, Hype Rockwell, and RG, The Reason. You'll be able to find some stuff there. Someone just put up on Twitter that tag match I was actually telling you guys about, where I tagged Adam Cole against some CZW guys, and it got like 5,000 views so far, like over a week. And it was like, people just pull random stuff up. So you can find me somewhere.
Somewhere in these streets, hanging out with Adam Cole.
Yeah.
Adam Cole, nice guy. Or is it all?
Back then. I mean, that was when he was starting out. So back then he was great. Like I can call him on the phone and talk to him. Success changes people a little bit. It's funny you bring up Adam Page, Hangman Page. I wrote a couple times with him, just him being out of Virginia, and I went to a show in Manhattan, ROH, with Sanjay one time, and he treated me like it was like the next day, like, "Hey Johnny, how you doing? What's going on?" So some people are real, and some people change. Can't tell you.
I mean that's
go.
everything. That's
Yeah.
life. That is life in a
Yeah.
nutshell, man. So Johnny, thanks for being here, man. It's been a great catching up with you, and you're going to have to come back on now. Now you can come on and have the real fun.
Yeah, it's,
When we make you
Yeah,
the brain
no,
and
put
stuff.
you to work.
Anytime, it'd be a pleasure.
There it is.
Peace.